Welcome to episode 137 of BigRedBarel Geek Speak, your place for all your nerdy needs on BigRedBarel.com. I'm your host Lauren, and with me as always is the Baroness of Butts, Amorous Auntie Alex.
Dragons and butts.
And the jaunty jubilant juggernaut of Joe.
Hello.
Hello.
All right.
Okay, so kicking off with our time waster of the week. It's not on the agenda, so I'm going to leave it to you, lovely ladies.
Yeah, so some of you may have seen the awesome little stop motion animation that Overwatch have done called Trace and Bake to celebrate that anniversary. It's a really cool little thing with Reaper and Tracer in it. That's on the YouTubes. But they've also released a behind the scenes video showing how it was made. And that, for me, was just completely fascinating. So, and yeah, it's only a short video. So that's my sort of suggestion for time waster this week, because it's just really cool to show sort of the craft that goes into making something like that. A really fun little video. So watch that.
I love stop motion. Like, stop motion stuff is my favorite.
Yeah.
It takes so long and it takes so much patience to do this.
Oh yeah, it's mental.
All the qualities I don't have, so I'm endlessly fascinated with it.
I'm an enormous fan of Kubo and the Two Strings. I think that film is just absolutely magnificent. And they on the Blu-ray, there's quite a lot of behind the scenes stuff for that. And it's just absolutely fascinating how it's done. I love it. So yeah. Stop motion is definitely very cool.
Stop motion is awesome.
Yeah.
I think I saw all the stuff they did for Nightmare Before Christmas with the stop motion as well. That is just so fascinating. But yeah, it's really cool that they hired this guy, and I think there's two of them, and hopefully they'll do more stuff for Overwatch. Because I think it'll start with them like going in and giving the lecture at Blizzard or something like that, or giving a little presentation on stop motion. And then they were like, we could actually use you for this, and this. And they were like, okay. And then the first thing they did was this, anniversary stop motion with Tracer and Reaper, and maybe there's going to be more things to come.
Fantastic. Okay, moving on to our news for this week. So, Star Wars James Mangold is to direct a Boba Fett movie. Well, this has been rumoured for ages, but they actually confirmed it yesterday, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. James Mangold is a great filmmaker, right? We've seen that obviously with Logan and other things that he's done. He's really great. And so for someone to be in charge of this, it's a perfect choice. He'd do a cracking job. But
if they let him do it and not do the Han Solo thing and keep taking it off people.
Well, I feel like James Mangold it sounds really bad, but he's a little bit more respected in the industry because he's not so new. If that makes sense.
No, that makes
Shots
sense.
Fired, Joe.
Well, you know what I mean. It's kind of it's hard to respected is probably the wrong word, but it's more that he's more known in the industry.
He's seasoned.
He's going to be more trusted with it, especially considering how much of a success Logan was.
Yeah.
But yeah, to be honest, as this is going to sound super bad, but as much of a Star Wars fan as I am, I'm done. It's too much.
Okay, so I saw Solo yesterday. We're going to discuss it later.
Yeah.
And everyone knows how much I love Star Wars and Han Solo. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done.
Oh, wow. Yeah, to be honest, it's a weird thing. I know, for example, Joe, that you're also kind of tired of superhero movies. But I'm not. I'm, excited about every single Marvel movie that's coming out. I'm curious where the story is going to go with all of that. But on the flip side of that, with Star Wars, every time they announce a new one, I, roll my eyes. And I don't do that for superhero, and I really don't know what's the difference. But I honestly preferred Star Wars when they fed this one movie every 3-4 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, with the superhero movies, they actually attempt to make them different genres and do something different with all of them. So we've discussed before, Winter Soldier is an espionage movie. Then we've got Guardians, which is kind of like a comedic space battle type movie. But Star Wars ones, they're trying to stick to the same line. And with the prequel-y ones, they try and hammer in. Well, not the prequel ones, the side ones, like Force Awakens and Solo. They try to hammer in too many references to the original trilogy for the fanboys, and I'm using air quotes, and it's just, they don't have their own character or story that engages people. I was talking to my mate the other day, and his son got really into Star Wars. He found it himself, bless him. And he loved the original trilogy. He enjoyed watching the prequels because he's young and he likes all the big space battles and that. But when he watched Force Awakens and Rogue One, he was done. He stopped watching Rogues. He stopped watching Clone Wars cartoons. She's like, stop playing with his lightsabers.
That's the end. If children stop playing with the lightsabers, where can we go?
I'd never stop playing with lightsabers.
Well, of course you wouldn't.
If an 8-year-old already has Star Wars fatigue, it's just like...
It is too much.
Too
like,
much.
We don't need... Like, we only had a Star Wars movie, like, 6 months ago. It's too soon. It's too much. And it breaks my heart because I'm an enormous Star Wars fan. I love these movies. I love the universe. And I think especially what the original trilogy did, I think is just absolutely wonderful. But we're just in absolute danger right now of just reaching Star Wars apathy, which I think is starting to happen looking at some of the early response to Solo, because it's just people don't care anymore. They don't feel as special anymore because you're going to get another one in 6 months or a year's time. Yeah. And the stories don't feel that important. Like, I enjoyed The Last Jedi. I liked that it did something very different at times, and it was not just sticking to a formula, and I thought it was one of the most adventurous Star Wars films we've seen in a long time. But a lot of people didn't enjoy it, and so I think carrying on hammering the universe, it's going to be too much, and I think people will still go and see it. I think there's still going to be an enormous appetite for it, but they're in danger of ruining their own critical importance. Everything that the original films did and built up this wonderful mythos and respect, I think they're in danger of tarnishing it. So yeah, just slow down a little bit. Like a Boba Fett movie, great, that's fine, go for it. But just give it a little while. Don't rush it.
But then we have Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. I'm like, the question that I do have actually, where the hell is the Leia movie? Like, I think we've tracked pretty much all of the characters that we care about, and Leia we just bypassed.
Yeah,
I think the only one I would actually cheer for.
A Leia movie is almost a more difficult sell than the Solo movie for me, because I don't think anyone, like, obviously we've talked before about how nobody should be playing Solo other than Harrison Ford, but I don't think they could. Who are they going to find to play a young Leia? Because Carrie Fisher was so unique.
Yep.
Like, that's needle in a haystack territory to get someone who's even going to be remotely close to how brilliant she was.
Like, the nearest thing would be her daughter, and she's already been stuck into Star Wars movies, so they can't reuse her.
Yeah.
So, yeah, who knows? But, James Mangold is a great filmmaker, so it'll be good. I don't think there's any question that this film would be bad. But it's just, do we need it?
We don't need any of them, technically, but we get them.
And I'll talk about opinions without spoilers on Solo a little later.
Yeah, I'm seeing it on Tuesday, so I'm just going to go for the fun and not really expect
Have you bought your tickets?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We go to the cinema every week, so we go even if there's some crap on, just to watch.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
It's just our regular day.
Remember, she did watch the Transformers.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We went to see Justice League, so quality is not a barrier to our cinema experience. Sometimes the worse a film is, the more we enjoy it as well, because it's just fun. It's just a lovely date thing we do every week. So.
Oh. That's cute. Next, Totalbiscuit, quite famed game critic, has passed away at age 33 after an extended battle with cancer. Bless him.
Yeah, it's very sad news. Very sad news. I must admit, I've never been enormously familiar with his work. My fella, he's a huge fan of him and Jesse Cox and Dodger and that sort of crew. And he listened to, I think it's the Co-optional podcast.
Yeah, Co-optional podcast.
He always watched that on YouTube, and he was a huge fan. So he was quite cut up about it, actually. And it's just what's been really lovely to see, actually, was just the absolute outpouring of love and dedications and all sorts of respect from the industry. Because he wasn't always the most. He was occasionally quite controversial, I think, sometimes in his opinions and how he expressed himself. But a lot of people kind of respected that as well. So he seemed to make a lot of friends in the industry and with other gamers and critics alike. So it was quite heartening to see the sort of outpouring of respect for him. But yeah, it's just terribly sudden. I mean, 33 is absolutely no age.
It's just way too young.
It's a waste of a talent. And yeah, cancer can go and fuck itself. basically. Yeah, very sad.
You know, I thought it was just so nice that everyone started sharing their stories on Twitter.
Yes,
And
yeah.
I spent quite a while and again, I'm similar to Joe. I haven't really been following his career that closely. I knew of him. I knew he's a critic. Occasionally I would come across his content, but I wasn't following him closely. But I thought it was so nice of people to write all their little memories and from all everyone said, he's like super helpful to people, to get a foothold in the industry, whether there's a critic or a creator or so on, that he was super supportive behind the scenes, which is so absolutely sweet to hear, and just makes it even more incredibly sad. Or I don't know how we can make it even more, but it does, because it's too young, it's horrible disease and so on, and just reading all those things was just like a very sweet way for everyone to say goodbye.
Yes,
I thought.
Yes, he's left a big hole in a lot of people's lives, and definitely his loss has been sort of keenly felt in the industry. But yeah, it's just terribly sad news.
Thoughts go out to his family at this time. So moving on, Lindelof is talking about Watchmen in an extremely long Instagram post.
Yeah, no kidding.
Joe tried and gave up reading for it.
I hadn't heard about any of this, so I just saw it on the agenda now and thought, oh, I better try and read a little bit of it. Read the first page, then realised it's like 6 pages long or something.
I know.
Yeah.
Tried to skim, and then I was like, no, I can't be bothered.
The basics is he is a Watchmen fanboy too. Watchmen is canon, and he's not going to directly adapt it. He's going to remix it. And that's about it.
Well, I think what he's saying is, like, yes, he's not going to directly adapt it, but he's going to work in that universe. So we're accepting that everything that happened in the Watchmen, comedian dying, Ozymandias saving the world, blah, 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 blah. I guess spoilers for Watchmen, but come on, what are you doing with your life if you don't know Watchmen yet? So all of that is actually happened, and they're going to work within that universe. And to be fair, I think that's a good plan. I think that's a really good idea, that retelling Watchmen again would have been... To be honest, Watchmen is the only Zack Snyder movie that I kind of can, give him a pass for.
Same.
Like, I don't hate it. I quite enjoy it, and especially I think the beginning opening sequence, I think is just outstanding. That's like one of my favorite things.
It has some really interesting things. Like Watchmen did some stuff that I actually thought was really quite clever, and it wasn't afraid to kind of be what it wanted to be. And yeah, it's not entirely successful, but overall I actually think Watchmen is pretty decent as far as adaptations go.
But to be honest, the story has been told. You've got the comics, you've got the movie. For a TV series, I mean, how much can you do with that material? Yeah, it will cover like maybe a season of stuff, unless you start making up things to go along with it. But it doesn't really have that much space to develop characters and go further, because, well, pretty much a self-contained thing. So I think actually taking that as canon, as a base for the story and a base for the world, and reimagining the modern world where this big scare happened, is more interesting and has more potential, and actually gives them more freedom. And I think it was like one of the reasons he wrote this Instagram post is that he talks in it that he basically refused to do Watchmen 3 times, and he wasn't sure, and the reason he's doing them now is just that he cannot do it. Basically, as a creator, he's fascinated by this project, and he has to make it happen. Like, this is like a feeling in his gut that this is something he has to create, which I think it's admirable as an artist. If there's something you feel so passionate about, I think you should try to do it if you can. Yeah, so that's, he's a big fan. So I think he's taken a lot of time to consider this, and as a creator and as an artist, I think they set themselves a better path with just taking Watchmen as a canon and creating the universe based off that canon.
The thing with Lindelof is, like, he's always going to be a bit of a touchy subject for a lot of people, because
especially
many people,
Alien fans.
Well, so many people blame him for that. And yes, the script for Prometheus is dodgy, to say the least.
He does talk about that in Instagram posts, like very briefly.
But it's not all his fault. And to be honest, his career has had a lot of ups and downs. Like, he's had some fairly significant downs, like things like Cowboys and Aliens.
Oh my god, he did that?
Yeah, and he wrote World War Z, or World War Z, if anyone listening in America, which was pretty terrible. Although still entertaining. But he also created the Leftovers series, obviously based on a book, which I think is one of the best series that's ever been on TV. The Leftovers was amazing. So he can sometimes create things that are absolutely brilliant. And if he cares about Watchmen as much as this post would suggest, which, you know, it seems like he's got a very deep connection to the universe and the stories, I feel like he's going to afford it the respect it deserves, and hopefully he'll do a really good job. I get very tired of the internet community hounding creatives for trying to do things sometimes because they perhaps didn't like something that they did previously. It winds me up to no end. Like, some of the vitriol that Rian Johnson gets because he dared to do something different with Star Wars is just absolutely disgraceful. And so I think it's unfortunate that people kind of hound Lindelof for certain things, because creatives, like, by the very nature of creating things, sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong, and sometimes you make things that are brilliant, and sometimes you make things that are perhaps not your best work. Luckily, he's a confident enough person to carry on creating, and this is good, and hopefully Watchmen will be great. So I just wish that the internet would just cool its boots and, like, chill out a little bit. Just, you know, let him make the thing. It could be really good.
I don't know, I could be speaking out of my ass and this could be completely wrong, but the first season Leftovers, where they basically stuck more to the material that they had, I think wasn't as successful. But as soon as they went into season 2 and completely remixed it, completely rebooted, it was so much better.
The Leftovers was fascinating. Like, it did almost become an entirely different show. I really liked the first season because the concept was really good, and actually the writing was excellent, especially in regards to the characters, and the performances were great, and it had a lot of potential. And then, when they completely rebooted it, I was like, what? But it worked so well, and I couldn't think at the time, and I still can't think of another show that's rebooted itself so drastically, so successfully. And it was just, I mean, there's 3 seasons of it. I think it was on Sky Atlantic, so if you have Now TV, it might be on box sets or something. It's so worth watching. Like, the idea is just a fascinating idea, but as a character study, it's so good. And this was where he sort of actually displayed that, you know what? He can write. He can definitely write. He can write characters when he's left to it and, you know, cares about the characters. The Leftovers was great. So I think I was actually quite sad when it ended, even though it ended in a really, really good way. Like, he didn't pull a Lost. Basically, it ended in a very satisfactory way. And I think he obviously learnt a lot of lessons from Lost. And I can't recommend The Leftovers highly enough. So I'm on board with his Watchmen. I think we're ready for a new exploration of the material. I know that Alan Moore gets sniffy about it all the time.
Everything.
He's just a grumpy old wizard. That's just what he does.
But here's the thing, though, right? He gets grumpy about adapting the Watchmen. But if it's something based on the Watchmen, is he going to be as grumpy?
Well,
it's not about Watchmen, but I mean, look, there is a little wiggle room there, right?
Yeah.
Around what
I just think
saying.
People need to take whatever Alan Moore says with an enormous pinch of salt, because it's just how he is. He's always been grumpy.
Yeah.
But this could be really good.
Fantastic. I'll wait and see. Like, it could be really fun. And speaking of something else that everyone seems to enjoy, and hopefully we'll be coming back. Amazon is in talks to renew The Expanse.
In talks, it's happening. It's a thing.
It happened today morning. Yes, today morning they received confirmation that Amazon is renewing The Expanse for season 4, guys. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So apparently when it got cancelled, Jeff Bezos is actually a huge Expanse fan. So they've been in talks for a while now, and it got confirmed today. But obviously, look, when The Expanse closed, the fans immediately started the campaign. There was a hashtag, Save The Expanse, and we may have someone may have put it in the name of one of our episodes.
I may have noticed, yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't know who that is. And there's also been a petition that people were signing. I love that they hired a plane with the to fly off sign with the hashtag Save the Expanse over Amazon offices.
Brilliant.
I just thought it was so funny.
That's awesome.
So they did that. So there was a lot of outpouring. Obviously, it doesn't have the outreach of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, so didn't really have any celebrities like massively tweeting that we need to save the Expanse, unless you count John Scalzi as a celebrity, which I do. But yeah, I'm just so excited, and I'm hoping actually, because one of the reasons it was cancelled on Sci-Fi that it was a pretty expensive show and they didn't see that much return because they didn't have international rights for distribution. They only had the rights to air it the first time, live on the cable networks. So yes, it was kind of pretty expensive production for what they got, but I'm hoping that Amazon could actually, give some of its mountains of cash and help the production a little bit, because Expanse Blessed, I really love it, but they do have, I'll call them monsters in there. They've got CGI monsters, and I love everything about the Expanse, but those monsters do look silly, and I know they try, and I know that's the best they can do with the money they have, but they do look silly, and if someone can make those monsters, who are quite important, look nicer for season 4, that would be awesome, Amazon.
I do wonder whether I need to give The Expanse another shot. Like, I watched I got halfway through the first season and just got cripplingly bored, but I wonder if I wasn't really being fair to it and that maybe I should actually try and watch it properly. Davo's watched it and he really likes it, so I don't know, maybe I felt like I was missing something, but maybe I should try again.
I mean, to be honest, I thought I really liked season 1. It was really good, but season 2 was so fantastic because there's there's so many WTF moments in that season that they spent the whole season 1 building up. That the payoff that they get to in season 2 was just great. But I think they do, in a sense, asking people a lot to go for one whole season for this, maybe awesome payoff, but you still have to get through the season. And look, there's still a lot of great things in season 1 to me, and like a lot of mystery and a lot of characters, and I love Miller's character, the sort of the noir detective in space. Is just, I love the whole concept, but they do have a very dense world to build, and it's kind of, the telling it can be hard to get through at first, but I'd always recommend you trying to watch it again. Like,
maybe I should give it a shot. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, the whole 2 seasons are on Netflix now, so
that's right.
Yeah, people keep telling me to watch it as well. I don't know.
Yeah,
might go for it.
Yeah, there's not much sci-fi recently been on the TV. Well, actually, with Netflix, we're starting to get some, with Lost in Space and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just finished that.
But when the first season of Expanse came out, I think everyone was kind of wanting more of that, a new Battlestar Galactica or something like that kind of stuff. So more, maybe sci-fi a little bit more on the hardcore side, which is what Expanse kind of is.
Yeah.
And that feels that niche a little bit. And I think it just does a really good job. And, one of the things I think why it's been done so very well is because both writers are so tightly involved with the show, and even when the show diverts from the book, it's because the writers are like, yeah, okay, we need to change that, because it works for the book, it doesn't work for the TV. So it's not like George R. R. Martin, who comes into the Game of Thrones writers' room and writes one episode. No, they're like they're producers. They're there every day. They're in the writers' room. They're helping writing the scripts. So they're there making everything happen. So to me, that's a really good collaboration that really helps the show. But anyway,
happy days.
It's on Netflix. I mean, the only thing you're gonna waste is maybe like a couple of hours.
Yeah. Happy days though. It's been saved. Woo!
So happy.
Now someone save Designated Survivor, please.
Let's do hashtag save
Designated Survivor.
It doesn't really roll off your tongue as much, does it?
Yeah.
It's okay. We'll figure out a different hashtag, Joe.
Okay. Save the president.
Ooh, yes.
Not the real one.
Save President Kirkman.
Yeah.
Right, so moving on to the meat of our show and our what we've watched this week. So, Alex, you've watched Desperate Housewives?
Awesome.
I did mention it in the last episode, and if you listeners thought that was it, well, you were sorely mistaken. So, I have been studying for a very, very long, intense couple of weeks, and when I do that, I like to have something silly in the background, and luckily, again, Amazon asked my prayers and put all 8 seasons of Desperate Housewives
God, there were 8 seasons? It ran for 8 seasons?
God.
Yes.
It just went, because they did like a time skip and everything.
Oh my
It's
word.
weird.
It did. And here's the thing. 8 season. Each season is about 20-something episodes. Now, the way I study, I just let it run in the background, and, I switch it off when I go away from the computer and I put it back on. So, let's say I started watching it in, let's be a bit generous and say a week and a half, and working alongside it. How many seasons do you think I'm in?
6.
Yeah, I was going to say 6.
Very close. 7. Now times the number of episode by the number of hours, and you figure out how many hours I worked in the last 2 while I was watching that show. But yeah, I don't know if you guys watched Desperate Housewife when it was in its prime, but I caught an odd episode here and there, so I kind of knew. I think like season 3 is the one that I knew the best for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, and do you know what? I think it's just it's kind of enjoyable. I kind of like, I forgot how sassy, evil, and Gloria wasn't there, and I kind of, her character, Gabrielle, makes me laugh the most, because she's like a little bossy woman with an attitude. And the storylines, they do basically a deep dive off the cliff's end at some point where you're like, what on earth is going on? Because, like, Wisteria Lane, a very chilled suburban street, but bloody hell, every disaster that could have happened on that lane. They had a tornado, they had a plane flying in, they had a riot.
Is it like the sort of juxtaposition of hell? And so everything was it like in Buffy, where they had like it was like I don't know the word, but a ley line for demonic activity. No, they didn't have there. It's just the fact that, they had 8 seasons and the writers needed to ramp up the tension. Yeah. So, like, tornado is going through Wisteria Lane. That's right. My word. If you don't take it seriously, and obviously it comes with its own fault, and sometimes I think it's a little bit, it's time, but it's got, it made me chuckle so many times. And it's a really great background show. I mean, I do not recommend working as much as I do and thus go plowing through 7 seasons of this thing. But if you want just something in the background while you're doing other stuff, something that you can be there for an occasional joke and you roll your eyes at some of the actions the character do. Because again, when someone's doing something they're not supposed to, of course there's someone standing behind the wall either listening to them do it or finding that they're doing. Or I loved one thing. There was a character talking on the phone to this really bad person, right? And another character comes in and tells them like a really big secret, and they're like, you're not supposed to tell. And obviously the person who's on the phone hears all that, and I'm just sitting there like facepalming myself so hard. I'm like, this is such a shoddy writing. What the hell? They overheard them because they were on the phone. Like, brilliant. They're not even hiding, like, somewhere under the windowsill or something like that, how they usually find out stuff on the show. They were on the phone. But yeah, I mean, Lauren, what did you think of it when you were watching it?
It was very of its time. Complete trash. I used to watch it with my mum. And it's just like the first couple of seasons were kind of enjoyable trash, if that makes sense. That does make sense. Then it just started getting a bit too ridiculous. And honestly, I want to punch. Was it Brie?
Oh,
Ginger
yeah.
one. I want to punch her in the face.
She gets better. She gets better. She gets better when she gets laid.
Yeah, she gets better when she gets laid. And the slutty one.
There's a couple
slutty
of them.
Neighbor. The blonde slutty neighbor who wants to bang everyone's husband.
Edie,
yeah, she's annoying.
Well, here's the thing. I thought Nicolette Sheridan that played Edie, they did find lightning the ball with her. I think she was very distinctive and got like a very strong character. And then I guess spoiler for Desperate Housewives, but she had to leave the show at some point, and ever since that they were trying to find kind of like a sassy blonde, or at some point they had like a sassy black character to come to try to replace her, and none of them basically could hold a candle to the Edie character, and it's just funny to see them struggle when they got rid of her, because they basically had nowhere to go with her anymore. And then they were like, well, now we need someone like her, and we're struggling to find anyone who is good enough. But yeah.
And there was the whole storyline with like the kids and the wardrobe and the adoption and that one. That was just like stupid.
Oh yeah, when the adoption, obviously there is a story where they gave a wrong child to a wrong parent in the hospital. Of course there is.
Sure.
Oh, no, that wasn't the one I'm on about.
Oh, which one were you on about?
Oh, crap, what season's it in?
I mean, to be fair, wardrobe, I don't really know what that means.
So there was one wife who was running away from an ex-husband, basically with a kid.
Yeah.
That's like the start of the story, why she ends up on Wisteria Lane. And then there's a bit with a wardrobe, and there's a toy on top of the wardrobe.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Catherine and Dylan.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, that was
That was stupid.
Yeah, I've never watched this show, and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna start now.
Yeah, I think to be honest, I'm okay with the stupid sometimes, but you're gonna roll your eyes so hard you're gonna fall off the chair if you watch that thing.
So at the start it's stupid, but it's kind of like passable stupid, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Look, I mean, they've got some really good storylines and some really good points to make. I mean, I've always liked Tom and Lynette and their myriad of kids, and this whole I don't know, maybe it's something like close to my heart, that she was a career woman, and then she had to leave it all to raise the kids, and she's always kind of missing going to work because she was really good at her job, but at the same time she does love her kids and does want to spend time with them, blah 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 blah. And the joke is that she's always getting pregnant and her kids are very shouty and badly behaved and so on and so on. And I always I almost feel like they keep their storylines more grounded than the rest of them. At least they don't have like crazy kids that were adopted from Romanian orphanage somewhere. They didn't have that kind of stories. But it's the kind of thing. Some of them will click more than the others, and it is a silly show. But it is also a funny show, and I'm glad it was there when I needed it. Basically,
Yeah.
A necessary distraction.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it is complete trash. It's like an American telenovela, I suppose. That's the closest kind of relating thing I can think about for that. But oh god, it was very, very of its time.
Yeah. I mean, it's to be fair, the telenovela that I actually like that is sort of in this vein is Jane the Virgin, that I talked about so many times. But it is telenovela that is aware that it's a telenovela and that plays up all ridiculous, and all the ridiculous stuff still happen in there, but the show is kind of winking along with you, and you're enjoying it because it's so self-aware that it's ridiculous, that you do have like a crazy twin sister that likes like and all this crazy stuff that's happening, and murders and twists and turns that are completely ridiculous, but because the show doesn't take it too seriously and kind of plays up that, you enjoy it more as a viewer, and you find it kind of more believable and more approachable as well. So to me, what Jane the Virgin does in terms of being like an American telenovela or whatever they're trying to be, obviously there's like lots of amazing Latino characters in there and Latino actors, but what it tries to do to me is way more successful than like any kind of soapy thing that I've seen before do, and I honestly think it's like a really fantastic and really funny and sweet and amazingly written show that sort of fills that hole that I think Desperate Housewives would have filled before.
Moving on. Joe, when did you go to Secret Cinema?
I went to Secret Cinema for the first time ever last weekend, and oh my god, it was amazing.
I got mates going tonight, and I went a few years ago to the Back to the Future one.
Yeah,
Wish I could have gone to the Star Wars one.
Who did you dress up as?
I shall tell you.
Hang on, what ticket level did you get actually?
The medium one.
Oh, nice.
What's the difference? Sorry, Secret Cinema Virgin don't know anything.
So like now there's like 3 levels. Like when I first went, there was just 1 level, but now there's like 3 levels. You have the basic package where you go in, you get your character, you get to interact with most of the environments. Then the next level, you have access to more of the areas, and you get a slightly like better off character. You're not like the scum down the bottom. And then there's a top layer where you get access to like VIP bars. Every single area, open. You get like special seats. You get like a 3-course meal. And it's pretty plush, but it's expensive. It's like 150, I think, starting off at.
Yeah, so it was interesting actually for Blade Runner. I didn't see that much of an enormous difference between the price package we had, which was like the enhanced, like the medium one, and the VIP one. They had like a special for the actual screening of the film. They had like a special area where they sat and they had like table service and people would bring them snacks and food. But in regards to the actual experience, we could go everywhere that they could go. I think the basic level ticket holders couldn't, like there were areas that they didn't get to go. So if I was going to recommend anyone go, which I would 100% recommend people do this, and I'll tell you why in a minute, go for the medium price. Because you'll get the best of the experience without the enormous price cost of the VIP ticket. But yeah, so this was Secret Cinema doing Blade Runner. They've done Blade Runner before, but they've learnt a lot since then, and now they've brought it back, and it's the final cut they're showing, which is great because that's kind of the cut that Ridley Scott himself has said that's the cut that people should watch. And yeah, so they've done an entire experience based around that. So it's set in like World Terminus is the place, and everyone has their identity. And they've captured the world of Blade Runner so brilliantly. If anyone's not familiar with what Secret Cinema do, it's essentially like a live cinema experience. So you go in and you have a couple of hours or so in an environment that is designed to make you feel like you're in the film. So they have actors roaming around doing things, and you all have characters, and there's all sorts of different sort of sets been built to sell this idea. At a certain point, you go into a screening area where you watch the film, and they'll have actors acting out little certain portions of the film. And now I know for a fact that like the basic level tickets for Blade Runner are in like a separate screening area, and they only get to see a couple of little live actor performances during the film. Whereas the area we were in, the VIP people were sat directly in front of us, so we saw everything that they saw. And we saw loads, like there were so many scenes of the film that were supported with this live action performance, and it was really good. Like it wasn't, I wonder if some people would be worried about it being obtrusive to the film, but it's not at all. It really supports it, and it makes you just feel like the world is all around you.
Yeah.
I'd never been to one before, and I would absolutely 100% go again for a film that I love as much as I love Blade Runner. It was just an incredible experience. Like the attention to detail is wonderful, and you really feel. I'm not going to say anything about what happens when you're inside, because it really is something you want to experience for yourself if you're lucky enough to go, and if you can go, totally do it. There was a moment where I was doing something in the area. I'm not, and I felt like I was in the movie. I felt like I was actually in the film, and that was just it's indescribable. You can't really describe how it feels. It's wonderful. It's so clever, and I feel like, having not been to a Secret Cinema event before, I don't know how previous ones stack up, but I feel like they've absolutely nailed this one. They've captured Blade Runner perfectly. All the actors are really good. Like, nobody's, like, just phoning it in. Everyone is fully dedicated. And you think, like, they're doing this every day for however many months. But it doesn't feel like that. It feels completely fresh. They're all completely involved with their characters and the world, and they make you feel involved. Like, you never feel like you're just a nuisance. They want you to feel involved, and they want you to kind of... The best thing you can do, like, we saw a few people who hadn't even bothered to dress up, and they were just kind of there. And I was like, don't do that. If you get to go boring to this, do it wholeheartedly, 100%.
Yeah, if you're paying for that ticket... You do it. It's like
you do it.
When I went to see the Back to the Future one, they basically built Hill Valley.
Yeah. I saw pictures of it. It looked amazing.
At the back of Westfield, it was fantastic. So you had to go up a ramp. You went through a little village bit, and then it was the town square, and everyone sat in the town square with like the monument in the middle, and virtually everyone dressed up, and you could go around. Yeah. There was like, you could go into the Enchantment of the Sea dance. There was a little kind of fairground as well. And during the movie, like, because it was just one level, everyone sat on the grass in front of the town hall, because they built the whole town hall, like, well, the frontage of it, and it was huge. Yeah. And they did the entire thing with the car chase around the town square. So like wherever you were sat, you'd see a little bit of it because you'd see them drive around. The bit where Biff is got Marty on the front of his car as well on the like makeshift skateboard. They had that as well.
Wicked,
they had Doc hanging off the clock tower. It was like, you guys are committed.
Yeah, they're not messing around. Like they're taking this very seriously. And I mean, Blade Runner is just a perfect fit for the experience, and the way they do it is so brilliant. Like I never felt like pressured to dress up too much, if you know what I mean. It's like, it's not like super cosplay levels of dressing up. It's really easy to achieve.
What was your character?
So I was a Utopia ambassador, and the 3 people I went with were all investigators, like private investigators, so they got to dress up like super cool, you know, Deckard type investigators, and I was there looking like someone in a smart dress who was trying to get people to sign up to Utopia. But I just kind of grabbed hold of it and made the story my own, and so I ended up getting involved with so many different stories that were being told, like, because there's not just one story that the actors are telling, there's little groups of actors doing all sorts of different things, and you can get involved in so many different things. Like, your character that you get is not a barrier or anything like that to experiencing the entire thing. You can kind of,
it's like Westworld.
Yeah, you it's your experience. You can take your character and kind of get involved with as much or as little as you want. But my advice to anyone doing this is just absolutely grab hold of it with both hands and do everything. Fully commit to it. Like, commit to your character, commit to the story and the idea, and just have a ball, like really enjoy it. And the actors really respond to that, and they want you to kind of get involved with it, just make the most of the experience. But I would absolutely 100% without hesitation go to another Secret Cinema event if they were doing a film that I love. I know they're doing Romeo and Juliet for Secret Summer, which is a slightly different thing. Like, it's not as involved as the main Secret Cinema events. Like, it's just you know, they'll create like an outdoor viewing experience for it. But I don't love that film enough for it to be worthwhile. But if they were to do another of my all-time favorite films, I would be there like a shot without hesitation. I cannot recommend it highly enough. If you can go, if you have the opportunity to go, 100% do it. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, the only thing that kind of like makes me feel a bit weird is the price point, because it is very expensive.
For me, like, it cost us a bit because obviously we stayed in a hotel just to make life a bit easier for ourselves because it's in London and we don't live in London. But the price for the ticket, I actually thought, considering what we got and what the experience was, I thought it was fine. Like, the VIP ones are too much, but for me, the mid-range price point, I thought, actually, that's okay.
Was that like the 75, 80 pound?
Something like that, yeah. It was something like that. About 80 quid, I think. Which, yeah, it's a lot of money, but you're paying for a once in a lifetime experience. It's not, you're not just going to watch a film. You're going to really sort of get involved in the universe, in the story of Blade Runner. You make of it what you want. Like, yes, you can pay all that money of it and maybe feel shortchanged if you don't dress up or if you don't get involved in it and you just kind of stand at the sidelines or something. But just don't do that. If you're going to do it, if you're going to spend the money, do it wholeheartedly and you'll have a great time. If you love Blade Runner, they've absolutely nailed it. So yeah, cannot recommend it highly enough.
I mean, what I don't like the sound of is that they have tiered options.
Yeah, but it's not so bad. Like, it's when you look at the 3 price points, it sounds like it's really bad, like, but it's not. Like, I think if you bought the basic ticket, you'd still get an incredible experience. You're only missing like certain extra bits. The mid price point is always the one I'd recommend. You don't need to do the VIP thing. Like, that is stupid money for really not much extra. Yeah, there isn't like a huge amount. If you go in on a basic ticket, you're still going to have a really, really good time.
Fair enough. Okay. I guess thinking about it more, they make the basic ticket to make it more
accessible,
yeah, for people who could not afford 70, 80, and I don't know, maybe they're making too much money off the VIP people, but
yeah, and that's like
it's still 50, 60 quid for your basic ticket.
I remember when tickets went first on sale and people were complaining a lot about the price, and I remember thinking, well, you know what, this is like a high-end London theatre experience, and people would happily pay that sort of money for that. And so I feel like people, sometimes there's a bit of a disconnect and they're not quite fully understanding what this is. You're not just going to watch a film. It's an entirely immersive experience. You're there for quite a long time. There's an after party afterwards on the Friday and Saturday. You know, you get your money's worth, I think. And if you're happy to pay 80 quid on some top-end theatre tickets to go and see, you know, a musical in London, equate it in those same terms. This is a similar kind of experience. Obviously, the actual experience is entirely different, but it's that similar level of thing. It's not just going to watch a film.
Fair enough.
But yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, very much.
Something else I think you two have both enjoyed. You've been playing some D&D.
Oh, yeah.
My first ever D&D.
Did you enjoy it? Did you have a good time?
I did enjoy it.
Excellent.
What campaign did you play?
It was a one-shot.
Yeah, one shot. Yeah, Joe saved me. So, obviously, a D&D noob. Got the character made for me, thank God, of some choices. I obviously, went for an elf, because duh.
High elf wizard.
High elf wizard. Well, wizard comes with pets, and I had a whistle. My whistle's name was Brownie, and I'm very proud of that whistle. Yeah, my familiar. But yeah, I thought, we only kind of played half of the one shot because we ran out of time. We were playing way too long into the night. Yeah. But considering I got stuck in the spider web and got almost burned in the barn, I think I had quite an eventful night.
Yeah, we were nearly at permadeath for your character. If you had fluffed that roll, you'd have been permadeath.
And I rolled exactly 10.
You rolled exactly what you needed for your saving throw, which was just unreal. I mean, I thought it was great. Like, we had a really fun time. I play D&D quite a lot. Like, I DM a campaign myself every week. So it was actually really nice for me to just play a character for once. And yeah, it was great. I mean, D&D's awesome. Like, people should always try D&D. Not only is it a really fun and friendly thing to do with friends, it's just a really great way of exploring characters and just storytelling. And it's so good. D&D is brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, on the table we played 3 people who haven't played D&D and 2 people who have quite a lot of experience with it. So it does help to play with someone who is confident and know what they're doing, and you're just kind of, I don't want to say piggybacking on them, but you're kind of bouncing off them and picking up on stuff as you play along and kind of learning the ropes while you do this. And, it does help. I wouldn't recommend, I'm sure some dedicated people could basically learn it in the group, but it does help someone who know it and could make it an enjoyable experience. And obviously DMing is a whole, different thing and a completely different skill and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. Definitely want to try more. I mean, the only reason I never tried it before is, time.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to get a group together, but I played like RPGs in the box a little bit, which was immensely fun, and I would actually, if that's what you're thinking of getting, the RPGs in the box, is a good shout, because, they provide kind of rigid set of rules with a bit of storytelling and a bit of decision and dice rolling and so on that will kind of set you on a path to D&D. But incidentally, the Tabletop Gaming Magazine was doing for the issue of June. They were asking people to name like their top 10 games, and they combined the list of their 150 games from like 150 to number 1. Have a guess what number 1 is.
D&D.
D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, which surprised entirely no one.
It is the absolute king of role-playing games, and there's a reason why it's been so successful. And what's lovely about D&D is it went through quite a time where it was not at all that popular.
Yeah, you were worshipping Satan if you were playing D&D.
And then like a bunch of other stuff happened, and now it's had a wonderful resurgence, and I love this. I love that everyone who plays D&D suddenly feels like, yeah, we play D&D and it's awesome, and now more people know about it. And I want more people to play this game because they'll just love it. So everyone, have a go, try D&D. There's always sessions running. Like, if you live somewhere like London, you'll have absolutely no trouble finding a session somewhere.
Yeah, there's a group that do it every Tuesday at Secret Weapon, and they have locations around London.
One thing I would say with D&D is, personally, I've played in like board game shops and at home. I prefer to play it at home because I feel like you can set, like when I run my own campaign, I have like music that I use and things like that, and I set like an ambience, and it really helps you get into the scene, like into what's happening. But everyone's different. Like some people love playing in a more social environment, like a board game shop or something like that. So whatever suits you, you can definitely find a campaign somewhere that you can fit into.
Yeah, and just to give them another shout out, because it's happening pretty soon, but there's UK Games Expo, there's always so many D&D rooms and so many campaigns.
So soon. That's like next weekend.
Yeah, that's next weekend.
Oh my god!
If you're there and you really want to try it out with like some really experienced people, I would go online and try to sign up to some of the sessions.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they also fill up quite quick.
Yeah.
Even if you miss that one, off the NEC, they basically book the first floor of the Hilton Hotel, and there's just a huge room with like all around the tables and people, and there are specifically dedicated D&D rooms. That's and wicked. Just board gaming rooms, and people play into the night, so there's so many opportunities to play and try it out. And originally I've like organized to play a D&D in there for the first time, and then a lucky circumstance, got to play early.
Also, if you're curious about D&D but not sure if you want to have a look first, check out Critical Role on Twitch. So if people haven't heard of Critical Role before, it's part of Geek and Sundry. It's a show that they do, and it's on their Twitch channel. They broadcast it live like late Thursday night, like American time, but they also make it available on their YouTube channel a few days later, so you can catch up. And they're currently running season 2 of a campaign at the moment. It's wonderful. Basically, so it's a bunch of voice actors from video games, so people like Matt Mercer and Laura Bailey and Travis Willingham and Ashley Johnson, actually, Ellie from The Last of Us. And they are playing D&D. And of course, because they're actors, they're so good with their characters, and they create... Matt Mercer is one of the greatest DMs I've ever seen, and he creates such wonderful environments and worlds and characters. If you want to check it out and kind of watch a little bit and just kind of see what it's all about before dipping your toe in yourself, have a look at that. Watch a few episodes of that. What's quite nice is they do a little recap at the beginning of each episode where they'll kind of just recap what happened previously. And there's all sorts of resources online because it's got a huge following where you can kind of catch up. So don't worry about coming into it a few episodes into a season, like thinking, oh, well, I've missed the start, blah, blah, blah. You can catch up. There's loads of resources that will help you learn who everyone is. So check that out. That might sort of give you a bit of impetus to try it yourself.
But yes, based on the experience yesterday, would recommend.
Yes. Yay! I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Yay!
Oh, I do miss playing. I used to play Pathfinder a lot. That was really fun.
I tried Pathfinder. I couldn't get into it the same. I think personally, for what I like, D&D is better. Like I think the systems are better. But Pathfinder is really cool, and they have some really good minis. You can get good Pathfinder minis.
Yeah, because I got a bunch of Pathfinder minis from Reaper. And then I played a Space Marines campaign, and I was meant to play one based on wildcards.
What, George R. R. Martin thing?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so like I created my own character, which was kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde thing, and I had loads of different tubes, so I could be it's kind of like Ben 10 mixed with Jekyll and Hyde. It's pretty sick.
There's all sorts of different things you can do. Like that's one of the beauty of D&D is that people kind of think it's all just like a fantasy world, and obviously it's high fantasy, kind of elves, wizards, dwarves. That's the heart of D&D.
Yeah.
But you can take it and make what you will of it. So my campaign is run in like feudal Japan.
Oh, nice.
And so I have kaiju in my campaign.
Of course you do.
And all sorts of other things, and there's witchcraft and samurai and ninjas and Shinto, and that's you can take the base structure of D&D and you can turn it into whatever you want. Like people create all sorts of wonderful worlds and campaigns based around these core rules, and that is the absolute beauty of it, is that it's like a blank canvas for you to create any sort of world you want, and it's brilliant. I like D&D is one of the best things ever, really. I love it.
Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna talk about something I didn't love.
Boo!
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So Solo, a Star Wars story that never needed to be told, and wasn't really told because it was all bollocks. It's all Bollocks. Sorry.
I mean, at least was Donald Glover good?
No.
What?
What?
No.
But he's so pretty.
Trailers, and he's pretty.
He acted fine, but like as a Lando, no. The best character was Chewie.
Well, yeah, Chewie's the best in everything.
Chewie like saved scenes. Like Chewie was amazing.
So let's kind of dial it down a bit. Obviously, we
Yeah.
don't want to go into any sort of spoilers whatsoever, and it's terrible, very sad that like you're super disappointed in it. But
Yeah.
without going into spoilers, can you sort of explain why? Obviously, we had low expectations for this from the start.
So most of the actors, like they don't really have that much characterization. There's not much of a dynamic between them. They just try to hammer a lot of stuff home. So Emilia Clarke, she's only good as Daenerys. I'm sorry. She should only play Daenerys. Everything else she's been in is pretty terrible.
To be fair, I tend to agree because I love her in Game of Thrones and I've not loved her in anything else.
Yeah, so she is just flat, and she's meant to have like this relationship with Han, and it's just like it just sounds like she's reading from the script, and there's so much exposition. It's just like, you don't need to say that. You don't need to be telling me this. Just like, show don't tell. Like, shut up. There's just a lot of eye roll moments. Like, the amount of times I literally put my head in the hands, or just like the whole wiping your face thing. It's just like, oh my god. And they try and shove so much from A New Hope, so many references to A New Hope into this movie that didn't need to be there.
So too much fan service.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really sorry if you can hear a drill or anything. Dude just turned up to do...
Yeah, I can, yeah.
Yeah, you just turned up to finally do our doors after 2 months of having doors with no handles in this house.
How did you close the bathroom?
Oh, the bathroom was fine.
Oh, okay, thank God.
It was the kitchen door and the downstairs door. He was meant to change the bathroom doors, but he never got around to it. They took him 2 days just to replace 2 doors and not even put handles on or like latches or anything. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, sorry about that, but had to know.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's like infuriating. But what was I? Yeah, so this is meant to be set like 10 years before A New Hope, which is fine.
Only 10 years?
It seems like around about that.
Well, yeah, that's, yeah. He ages a lot in 10 years.
There's like this whole thing that he keeps saying he wants to be a pilot, he wants to be a pilot, he wants to be a pilot. So he gets into the Imperial Naval Academy to become a pilot. Jump 3 years later, he's on a battlefield basically like Serenity Valley. He's like, right, why aren't you showing us why he got kicked out of the academy, how he became a pilot, all that kind of stuff. That's the stuff I want to see from Han Solo. I want to see that. I want to see the development of his character to get him kicked out of Naval Academy so he becomes the smuggler he is. And they just... Everything was just not Han Solo.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask, actually. Is do you feel like, obviously, you're enormous Harrison Ford Han Solo fan.
Yes.
Do you feel like your affection and sort of loyalty has perhaps coloured your expectations for this somewhat? I fully understand it because I'm kind of the same. Like, I can't picture anyone else as Han Solo, and I think I'm going to struggle to get on board with this chap. But do you feel like that maybe has coloured it somewhat, that you just cannot see anyone else but Harrison Ford doing that role?
I'm open for younger actors coming in and doing like an earlier version. Like, I was open for Donald Glover doing it. I was really hoping he was going to be great. But like the whole thing, it was more that he had to have acting lessons and all that kind of crap. That really marred my opinion of him before
but
I went into the movie.
Did it show? Could you tell that he wasn't?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he was just... There was no charisma or cheekiness, and he was doing so many things that Solo wouldn't do. It's just like watching it with my mate, and it's just like, Han Solo wouldn't do that. Han wouldn't do that. It's like, why? Why is he doing that? That's just not him. And they were painting this whole picture of him that, like, by the end of the movie, completely negates his character at the start of A New Hope. And it's just like, there's such a disconnect.
Mm.
And then there's just like, there's this bit at the end of the movie, like, you're setting it up for probably Boba Fett, like, but like we were watching it, and it's like, no, why did you do that? Why?
Oh, great! I really look forward to seeing it on Tuesday.
No, seriously, you will groan.
I feel it's interesting. Like, I am sort of perhaps a little bit more kind of open to it than I was. My thing with it is that I just don't feel like it needs to exist.
It doesn't.
Like,
it really doesn't.
I don't. I don't understand the need for it. Like, we knew Han Solo perfectly already. I didn't really need more backstory for him. There's so many other stories you could tell. Like, we've talked before, haven't we, about Star Wars, about how there's so many potential stories you could tell, and this just felt like a lazy one to try to tell. But, you know, I haven't seen it yet, so I can't possibly say. But I shall be trying to go in with as much an open mind and an open heart as possible. But
yeah, please do. But it'll die quick soon. Like, I came out that movie and I said, spoilers, Han Solo has died twice now. They've killed him twice.
Aww.
Another question I have, can you see the seams of what Lord and Miller were trying to do and what Ron Howard came in to do? Or is it so reshot completely that they're not there anymore?
It's so reshot. Like, it's very beautiful. Like, the cinematography is fantastic. Beautiful set pieces. Like, overall, it looks more within the Star Wars universe than the prequels did, because it looks very seamless and aesthetically very beautiful, and all the creatures look like they should be in that environment. But there's certain creatures that you think, why are they in that environment? It's like, that doesn't make sense. Like, there's one at the start, and I'm just like, that logically doesn't make sense for me. Like, why there's such a prominent feature in this landscape, given their creature archetype. And then we were discussing the Red Letter Media predictions for it as well afterwards. It's like, they were coming up with the stupidest stuff that could be in this movie, and a lot of it was in this movie, and it was just so cliche. I think there was one interaction between Chewie and Han just after they first met, which I giggled at, and that was it, basically. Yeah.
Oh, it's a shame. I like, you know, Star Wars is a wonderful thing, and it is always a shame when one doesn't hit the mark. Like,
yeah. I'm treating this like Crystal Skull. It doesn't exist.
It's funny, you know what? Like, Crystal Skull, I actually still don't even think is that bad. Like, it has some really questionable bits.
The monkey bit.
But yeah, I mean, that's ludicrous and stuff. But, you know, if you kind of, now it's passed on a few years, if you kind of watch it again, it's really not that bad. It has some interesting stuff. But it's just, you know, it again was a film that did not need to exist. So yeah,
like, if you've already bought tickets, go see it, but I recommend just waiting until it's on a streaming service. Like, it pains my heart a bit. Like, we were walking to the pub and it's just like, it's such a non-thing. Like, we were struggling to really find some positives. Like, it's pretty. It looks pretty.
Well, sometimes that's enough for me.
But if he was pretty, like Han Solo's meant to be, then it'd be fine, but he's not.
He's all
Hashtag
right.
Not my Solo.
He's all right.
Yeah.
To be honest, Han Solo was never really for me either, but...
Were you a bit of greedo?
Yeah, totally.
Give me a Twi'lek any day. Oh, God. Yeah, so... that's it for this week's.
Sorry to end on such a lovely down note.
Yeah.
Please send me happy Han Solo gifts. That would make me feel a little better. So, thank you for listening to episode 137 of Big Red Barrel Geek Speak. If you want to get in touch, you can do so on the forums, BigRedBarel.com. You can go to Twitter. You can use @BigRedBarel, use the hashtag Geek Speak, or use personal Twitters. I am @TheSweetShrimp.
I'm @DustedTube_.
I'm @PixelRitual.
You can also go to Facebook, Facebook.com/BigRedBarel, and leave us a comment on there. We also have the Game Night group where you can join, meet some lovely people, and play some lovely games. We also have the Discord group where you can go and also arrange some nice games on there too. You can go to YouTube.com/Red Barrel TV and leave us a comment, because we release these weekly as a video format. Not really with a video, just a cool picture. Tabletop Tuesday every week in Scenario in Dalston in London. We have a new feature game which you can win that very week. All you have to do is play your round. You don't even have to win. Just let us know that you played it and your name gets put into prize draw. By 10:30 that very evening, you could have won it. What's the feature game this week, Alex?
The feature game on the May 29th is going to be Shards of Infinity, which is a little deck builder.
Awesome. You can also go to iTunes, leave us a little review on there, 5 stars preferred, or whatever you think we do. Put it in there, give us a little comment. Have I missed anything?
No, just a quick shout that probably there's not going to be a podcast while we're at UK Games Expo, unless Lauren wants to wrangle someone and
You have
record.
to wrangle 2 people.
Two people and edit. Then we might have to skip the podcast because we'll be there playing board games. But I'm hoping that there'll be some exciting things that we'll have post the UK Gamers Expo that we can share with all of you.
Brilliant. Okay, so for episode 137 of BigRedBarel Geek Speak, I've been Lauren.
I've been Butts.
I've been Joe.
And we bid you goodbye.
Bye. Butts.
You and your ears are quite welcome for the podcasting goodness that you just heard. Why not roll on over to BigRedBarel.com for more podcasts, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarel.com.